Welcome to the Ask Faleskini podcast with a guest. I'm proud to present Sudeshna Sen from London, UK. Sudeshna is an efficiency and optimization nerd, both in business and in life. And what she has discovered in over a decade of businesses is that the easiest and the most efficient way to gain this appropriate return on investment in both business and life is by understanding and then effectively using technology. As a strategist and data scientist, she focuses primarily on using emerging technologies like AI as a positive differentiator for businesses. She helps businesses and people make more money using data-driven approaches, using her knowledge of economics, statistics, and machine learning. With years of experience in leading and delivering projects, her core skills lie in business strategy, data science, and helping clients adopt artificial intelligence as a strategic priority. She seamlessly works with diverse virtual teams and executive level stakeholders. Most tech gurus talk about use of tech in businesses, but what she also discovered is that the most sophisticated piece of technology we are sitting on is ourselves. We can hack our biochemistry, our nervous system, and our energetics to not only improve our careers, but also our lives. And we can use the same principle of business to grow our career too. And this is when she fell even more in love with technology, data, and business. Sudesha, please tell us more about yourself. What is your story?
That is such a kind introduction, Peter. My story is that I grew up in India, and about 10 years back, I moved to the UK. I did a master's in economics from some of the top institutes in back in India, and then worked for a number of consulting companies where I got to see firsthand what business priorities were and how these big consulting firms were consulting their Fortune 500 clients. So that was a first-hand experience. And since then, I got really interested in data science, artificial intelligence, advanced technology, you name it. And since then, I have done a number of roles within the data area, head of data product, you name it. And a few years back, I also started a project called the Abundance Psyche, through which I share my knowledge and whatever I've gained, my experience around navigating careers, but also understanding and handling our personal finance. And like you mentioned, I got terribly into meditation somewhere along the way, to the point that I consider meditation as something that saved my life. Um, and I have been sharing all of that through the Abundant Psyche. I try not to go super woo woo, and try to approach it more scientifically than many people in the spiritual world, if you will. Um, so, yeah, a bit of a balanced thought is hopefully what I bring to the table. So that's me in a
Okay.
nutshell.
Great. So the first question that intrigues me is you grew up in India, and India is one of the fastest growing markets right now. So do you plan to take advantage of your local knowledge of the market, or are you set in UK for business? What's your future plan?
It's a very good question, one that I think about very often. Um, I am not ever going to say no to India because obviously I have, like you said, the local knowledge, my home, my family, everyone's there. So, and like you said, it's one of the fastest growing markets. So yeah, I might consider going back home sometimes. I always tease my 3-year-old who doesn't understand when I say this to him, is that um, maybe, just maybe, your Indian citizenship card will be more valuable to you in your life than your British citizenship. Now that's a big statement, and I say this teasingly, but I only say this half jokingly because I think India has tremendous potential over the next decade or the next 5 decades.
Mhm. Yeah, I would also like to know more about your consulting experiences. You said that you were working for consulting companies that consult to Fortune 500. What's the main difference? Because you have first-hand experiences with consulting to people as well, so individuals. Sorry, what is the main experience or the difference between consulting to a Fortune 500 company and a startup or an entrepreneur that is just that has just started or has a small business going on?
Very good question. So I think when I have worked for startups, I'll break it up into almost three parts. The individuals. I think when I consult or coach people through career coaching, that's one of the services I provide through the Abundance Psyche. When I do that with individuals, what I realize is that most of the times people are not thinking holistically about their career or their life. So I have a concept that says that you need to be the CEO of your life. You
Mm-hmm.
also need to be the CFO of your life. You almost apply, and because probably I am sort of from the business background, I apply that lens to it that you need to be the CEO of your life and you need to own it up. You need to make the decisions and you need to have your board of directors, but you also need to be the CFO and so on. But most of the times, I don't think people are thinking like that. They are not thinking that
Mm-hmm.
big. So that's, I think, a key difference, whereas a business is generally more geared towards, and if it's especially a profit generating entity, they are more interested in profits and they are more interested in the mechanics of how things work. They are basically pulling three levers, right? Profit, they want to increase profit by improving revenue or decreasing cost, and you have quantity and you have price. So those are the sort of levers they are playing with. And then obviously you have operating models and whatnot. So the bigger enterprises are looking at, and I have had the fortune of working across the board from operating model design all the way through to strategic conversations like, you know, cost and revenue and profit, all the way through to technology as well. So I think they think about things more holistically. However, most of the bigger companies, I think, are still working in silos, and probably a thing that's not to say that that's a bad thing. I think it's a side effect of the big size that, if you have 10,000 people, it's very difficult for those 10,000 people to have a collective brain. So that's one of the challenges, but equally that's one of the key differences, I think, that they have to smaller enterprises who are more joined up, more agile, more um, ready to change, pick up the problem and just solve it and get it to the end line in like weeks of time. So yeah, those I think are the differences in my opinion.
Okay. You said that you're a user of AI, machine learning, and similar data scientist. Are you a user or are you also a programmer? Can you, what's your level of technical education? Can you set up a new program when it arrives? Can you check it? Do you do your own programming? Do you do your queries in the database? How deep do you go into that?
I probably couldn't do it anymore, but till a couple of years back, I was writing code in Python. That said, to get anything to like a production level, I think it's become considerably easier these days with the advent of, ChatGPT amongst others. So it's getting easier and easier to access the programming stack. My level of competence used to be like I used to write code in Python once upon a time. That's not me anymore. So yeah, I probably wouldn't be very useful if anyone's trying to get me to write code, but maybe one day again I'll pick up. I don't know, not just now.
Yeah, okay. So that brings me to our next question. So and you probably you already answered it. So in all the abundance of softwares and solutions available, there's always make or buy dilemma. You would you propose to a small company to buy something or to make the software program on their own, what would you what's your suggestion? What would be better step, more efficient?
You ask really good questions. So my personal opinion on that is figure out what the problem statement is and figure out the most efficient path to get there, and then see whether that fits in your budget. If it doesn't, and there's a very high likelihood that it won't, because some of these off the shelf software are extremely expensive, you might find that it's easier to build or buy cheaper solutions and customize. Um, Now, obviously, it depends. Like a small company it could be like just one person solopreneur company all the way through to 250 people, right? And when you are at the 250 people scale side of things, you probably have a lot more technical expertise, a lot more money, so you can do more things versus if you are a solopreneur. So the answer to that, I think, would really depend on where your technical expertise is. I'll also add that even if you are a solopreneur, I think if you are someone who is quite technical, there may be things that you can pick up and you can figure out along the way. However, if you are not technical, and I know a lot of entrepreneurs that just don't even want to do their website, even on like, very straightforward software, website designing software that we have. For those people, I'd probably suggest figure out what is the problem and then maybe actually even consider hiring some tech consultant, probably not the Big Four or Accenture type tech consultants, but someone who's more affordable and someone who might be able to help you think through architecting the solution in the most efficient way.
How important are coaches and consultants for small businesses?
If used effectively, they can be extremely useful, but I think not many businesses or business owners have figured out how to really use coaches and consultants. I'll give you an example. So you may be aware that the entire internet coaching industry is like getting busier and busier by the day. And there are a lot of people who are suggesting, oh, I'm a coach and I teach a coach to coach to coach, or I create a business to create a business to teach people how to create a business to create a business. And this is getting getting a bit nerve-wracking for me because that's not really adding value. The value add is in solving specific problems. So if you are just hiring someone to help you to build a business, that's like you outsourcing your CEO job to the coach. However, if you are hiring someone to build a specific part of I don't know, an email sequence or a marketing ad copy or helping you brainstorm, if you have a problem statement that you are trying to solve, I think coaches and consultants can be extremely effective. However, I have a bit of a challenge with the life coaches industry, the ones that almost step into the therapist zone. I
Hmm.
almost want to warn, especially online internet entrepreneurs, that might be a very costly lesson that you don't want to learn. So just double check the expertise of the coach or consultant that you want to hire, because
You mentioned double check the consultant and the coach. Where could small businesses, or how should small business owners learn what kind of coach they should engage? And is there any other way than trial and error in that department?
yeah, no, it's a fair point actually, that it's really hard. And when you are starting up a business and you have no view of how you can go around verifying whether the person is an expert or not. It's difficult. Probably asking them for what experience they have in the specific problem that you are trying to solve could be a good starting point. And allied with that, for example, if you are, I don't know, building a machine learning solution and they have not ever written a line of code, that would be a red flag to me immediately, right? Um, so probably checking out their LinkedIn profiles a bit, not saying that people can't lie on LinkedIn, but just just suggesting that probably most people don't. And also just be transparent, ask as many questions, because the people who will get annoyed with the questioning are the people who probably have things to hide. So my philosophy would be, yeah, ask for the credentials, ask for the experience, ask exactly how they want to solve the problem, and agree with their approach before paying them the money and, you know, putting your time, energy, and money into the process.
Okay, what kind of coaches are you using?
My In my business,
Yes.
so I have used a number of coaches. So for example, I used a specific coach for operational design, so my organizational design and process design. I used someone to brainstorm my content strategy with. I have used people to um, do like literally personal development, productivity sort of things. Some coaches I have used have not really um, paid positive ROI, I don't think, other than the lesson in that I shouldn't have used them. Some people have just taught me sales calls, and I realized I'm just probably not a natural sales person, and um, therefore haven't used the training hence. So those, and because I am personally quite technical, I have used less of the technical people on to, yeah, at my end.
Let's move to your podcast and video production. You explain personal finance in that video. What's your, let's say, philosophy? How should people develop their personal finance? Let's assume that people start from almost zero, and let's assume that they start after they finish high school. How would you go about developing their personal finance during their studies, during their first, let's say, mediocre job? How should they go about their personal finance? What can they learn even if they have a small amount of money? That is, what are the most important lessons they have to learn?
Sure. So I can share a bit of my experience, what I did after high school. I realized after high school that I already have, due to years of schooling, some credentials and some problem solving prowess. So I basically was going and looking for a problem. My problem statement was, I want to solve for this problem of me not having money, or me not wanting to keep on asking my parents for money. So I literally went around and said, hey, will you give me a job? And I got my first job, which was tutoring kids. And I realized that my hourly pay was really, really low, because I was going there like 3 times a week. I was commuting, and then I sort of, it didn't seem like a scalable solution. And I was not really enjoying the teaching, if you will. And then I started wondering, okay, how do I improve my per hour payout rate? And I was doing this on the side of my university and college. So how do I work from home? How do I increase my hourly rate? Um, and that is when I came across all of this, believe you me, like 2006, I'm talking about 2006, 2007. I came across online marketing, digital marketing, and I started producing content for them before digital marketing was a thing. Um, so I don't want to say that that's the route everyone needs to take, but I think when you are just out of university, probably the first problem you want to solve is how do I earn money?
Mm-hmm.
Then as I got older and then I had a corporate job and then I sort of let my business, so to speak, which had considerably grown to a certain extent, I had to stop that. And I went into my corporate life where I was earning probably actually as much, not if not lesser. So you could question me on why did I go in for a lesser salary or paycheck per month into a corporate job when I was already earning quite a bit in my business. Um, but I think at that point, I started thinking of, okay, so now I have the money, then how do I build up the security? Say, for example, in the UK, we have quite a good health system, but not everywhere in the world you have that health system. You
Mm-hmm.
want to think about your emergency savings and things like that. So that's probably step number two. Once you have a certain bit of money, how are you planning to get out of an emergency? So building that safety net. And then once you have built that, you almost want to consider your savings and investment and, all of this buy versus rent a house that I have spoken about in one of my recent videos as well, um, are all the things to consider. But I think if you ask me in order of preference, first, I think the first and foremost is earn more. The second is put aside emergency savings. The third is save to invest for the short term and then save to invest for the long term. And then you almost want to set up your vision for an abundant future, right? And everyone has different visions. Some people will say, oh, I never really want to retire. Some people will say, oh, I want to retire at 40 and sit on a beach and never want to work again. So everyone has a different vision, but I guess figuring out that vision and then problem solving to get to that vision is what I'd suggest people think about.
So you help people in your practice. You help people develop the vision or clarify their vision, and then establish steps how to get there.
I do that for their career, not so much for their personal finances, because I'm not really a financial advisor, so I don't have the right credentials to help people at a personal level. However, if people want, that is another route that you can take. Go to a regulated financial advisor who is held to account by the regulator in each of your countries, who may be able to help you with some questions on what you want to invest in, what you want to save for, etc. And maybe to a certain extent help you with that vision as well.
How important is meditation for financial security and for earning more?
I don't know whether meditation is important for earning more and financial security. But what I do know is that meditation gives you more calm, and that's been proven pretty much by neuroscience now. So you have a heightened number of, and I'm not a neuroscientist, right? But a certain meditation teacher came onto my podcast once upon a time, and he suggested that you have a higher amount of theta waves in the brain, which is supposed to be calming, um, when you meditate, and that happens through the day. So by that, what I would suggest is that if you are in a state of calm, you are sort of reducing the adrenaline levels in your system, which helps you almost be present in your frontal, like whatever they call it, the prefrontal cortex, or the thinking brain as opposed to the reacting brain.
Mhm.
So if I continue with that thread of logic, that means that when the market is going down, instead of being driven by fear of, oh my God, I'm going to lose my money, you have that split second to take a step back and look at, am I really going to lose money? Or can I ride out this wave till the market goes back up and then I can sell? Um, so I think meditation probably is not important to make money at all. However, meditation does give you a heightened executive functioning level that you can then use in all aspects of your life, including making money, to tap into.
Okay. How important is for people to make a plan? What they want to do in their career, what they want to do with their business. How important is a plan?
It really depends on who you are as a person. I think I am more of a vision person than a plan person. Um, and I say that with a grain of salt because I think I have a vision for where I want to be in 10 years. I don't have a plan executed for those 10 years. What I probably have a plan for is for the next couple of months or maybe the next 6 months. So I do think planning is important, but also being fully aware that there's a very high likelihood that plans won't work out because, especially when you think about technology, finance, business, the world order is changing. Every day there's a new thing in technology coming out. We just can't keep up with the pace of innovation. So then, if I suggest that, okay, my plan is to do X in 3 years' time, in 3 years, what if I find a better solution's been found? I want to plan, but I don't want to build up a plan that's not flexible, if that makes
So,
sense.
if I understood correctly, vision is more important than a plan.
To me, yes.
Okay. So, how would you recommend our listeners to go about it? Should they start working on their vision? Should they start working on their plan? How should they go about it?
If it's the first time you are doing this, I would suggest start with the vision. And it could be a near-term vision, right? Like, say, in the next 2 years, I want to buy a house, or in the next 1 year, I want to change jobs, or in the next 6 months, I want to increase my salary. Even that could be the vision of me earning more, or the vision of me in a new house. And then you almost want to put together the plan because a vision without a plan is just a vision. It doesn't work unless and sorry, I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent and a rant. I think a lot of people in the manifestation world, especially, and when I talk about abundance, I have a lot of manifestation gurus who I encounter, and they tend to talk about vision without really talking about the plan and the action. And I don't think that's useful at all. I think the vision is important because without the vision, you can't put the plan together. So, vision is step number one. Step number two is plan, and step number three is action. But if you just had a vision and stopped there, that's not going to get you very far. So,
How important is the mission is in all this constellation?
interesting question. I think mission is really driven by the person. So, I don't know if you've heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs before.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think mission becomes more and more important as you get closer to self-actualization. But when you don't have, you know, if you don't know where your next paycheck is coming from, if you don't know where your dinner is coming from, it's very good to talk about mission, but you'll not be bought into it till you are in a state where
You're
your basic
secure.
necessities are, yeah, you need to feel secure. That's the first and foremost thing. Mission's great. Love people having a mission, but at the right time.
Yeah, basically, you spoke about two roles of brain, and if you're in high adrenaline because you don't have enough security, and so then you are more in the do or die situation. So in that situation, mission is just useless, if I understand correctly.
Correct. That's right.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like our listeners to take from this interview? Any quick tips or trade secrets that you can share with us?
Any tips or trade secrets? I think it's really critical that people start taking control of their personal finance. And definitely, I have no vested interest in saying this because I don't sell financial coaching. I'm not a financial advisor, but I really do think people spend a lot of time thinking about how do I save more. But if people spend a bit more time in figuring out how they earn more, how they want to envision their future, how long they want to even work, because some people are so there's one set who wants to save more and who never want to retire, and then there are the other extreme set who want to retire as fast as possible. You probably know about the fire movement, and I almost feel like there needs to be a balance of the two, and you need to figure out what your vision is. How do people let me put it this way: people optimize for money. What if we optimized for joy and happiness? And if that's what we did, money becomes a tool for us to get there. And I think I'll leave it at that. Think about how you can optimize for happiness and joy and make money the way that you get there.
Okay. I will put links to where people can reach you in the description below. And thank you, Sudeshna, for being my guest tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure.